academic, leader of technology, Thank you. Those are
that comes to 10.5 million. I have loan facility with application and operation about 300,000. So that reduces by net around 10.2 million. And the round of the next million, right, will take up by 10 million.
we are some issues in the and exchange the mic. Now we need to know the retail business so that we ensure that you don't trade with them, with that account is not trade with you. What's the name of the retail business? And where is it situated?
The retail business is called HON.MOPHART Limited, and I run a number of retail shops
In Makonga. Prime Limited.
HON.MOPHART.
Limited. Thank you. So now, can you tell us the journey of your life? Who is this Moffat Mandela? Is your son Nelson Mandela? And then how has it traveled until he's right here before this committee wishes to be appointed as CEC, Social Services, Sports, Youth, Gender and Culture?
Right, Mr. Speaker, as you rightly put, my name is Mandela. Born on 31st of August 1990 in a village called Shaka in Mumias East constituency. 15 years ago, migrated to the neighboring village of Punga, where I have lived for the last, is now my permanent residence, and I've lived there for the last 15 years. Right, Honorable Speaker, my education journey begins in 1997 in Maraba Primary School in Mumias East constituency, where I joined class 1 and pursued primary education until 2004, when I sat my KCPE and attained 385 marks. I then joined Book Academy in the first of January 2005, where I began my secondary school education, but transferred from Book Academy, actually dropped from Book Academy, and later I joined Shikomani Next Day Secondary School in the same year, where I sat my KCSE in the year 2009 and attained a big paying grade. That later helped me to join university. Right, Honorable Speaker, I joined Masinde University in August 2011 to pursue my undergraduate degree, which is a Bachelor of Science in Disaster Mitigation and Sustainable Development, and I graduated on the 4th of December 2015. Later, in around 2016, I began my master's in University of Agriculture and Technology, master's in Master of Science in Development Studies, which I have completed all requirements that I need to award that degree, and what I am awaiting is the graduation. Honorable Speaker, my working journey begins in 2015, just before the graduation after completing my course with Old Mutual Life Assurance Company in Kisumu, where I worked with them briefly until the end of 2015 as a financial advisor. Later on, from January 2016, right to the Speaker, I joined a non-governmental organization called the Kenya AIDS NGOs Consortium as a program assistant, where I worked until February 2018, when I resigned to join government after I was appointed as the advisor and instilling the county government of Kakamega in March 2018. Right Honorable Speaker, I have worked with the county government of Kakamega until September this year in that portfolio, in that capacity as the youth advisor in the office of government. Alongside this working career, that Honorable Speaker, it's important for me to note that I pursued also elected politics in my political party. I have been a member of the European Democratic Movement, which I have served in the capacity of youth leader of the ward, youth leader of the constituency, youth leader of the county, and most recently, I have served as the county chairman of Kakamega. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Now, give us an overview of what of the mandate of the office of CEC, Social Services, Sports, Youth, Gender, and Culture.
Right Honorable Speaker, the mandate of the CEC is to first supervise the implementation in the ministry, secondly, to implement legislation from the county assembly, and also to come up with the policy draft for consideration and legislation drafts for consideration in the ministry. But generally, it is to offer leadership and create a team that will be able to deliver on the mandate of the ministry.
We ask another set of questions by Honorable Maina. He has a few questions for you.
Thank you, Chair, for this opportunity to ask a few questions to the nominee. At the start, I have to declare interest that he has been serving as the chairman of the party. It's nominated me to be a little majority in the House. That should hold record. However, that does not hinder me from doing my duty in the committee. And so, Mr. Moffat, just two things I want to get from you. Number one, I understand from the simple mathematics I'm doing, you still start to be a youth.
That's right.
Okay. Given that, and you're going to sit in a cabinet of your colleagues, and you're the only person below the 25, saying the only youth there. I want you to think about that as you quote this question. I want to highlight some of the challenges you're likely to face in your term and the CC for the ministry you've been nominated to, in terms of the work related, and to your experience and age, given that one of the other is there are people who want some have been retired, some are here to retire, but they are in service in their various capacities. How that will become a challenge, in addition to other challenges in that ministry. And the second question that I want to bring to your attention, what are your main priorities in the Department of Social Services, Sports, Youth, Gender and Culture to ensure that the government is mandate concerning the delivery of the people of Kakamega? Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Chair. First of all, on the issue of being a youth, it has never occurred to me that being a youth can deter me from working with any kind of group. And I will borrow from my past experience in the party. Right Honorable Speaker, I am glad that as the Honorable Majority Leader has mentioned, we have worked with him before. And he's one of the people who are older than me, but we have worked. So I think he's one of the people who can give evidence to this committee that me working with people who are older than me may not be an issue. I have served.
You are out of order. It's not him. It is you to tell us how you work as a youth amongst the issue. You are as the only youth in that cabinet, not a right honorable speaker.
So Right Honorable Speaker was saying that my first appointment as the youth advisor was also an appointment in the senior management, and at that time I happened to be the only youth. Having navigated that terrain, I believe that I have gathered the skills and experience that are necessary to help me navigate the assignments that are before me. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, my leadership in the party also has been amongst people who are older than me. I actually have served as the county chairman, being the only youth in the National Governing Council of the party, where we sit as the 47 chairman and members at the high level. So I think the experience I've gathered as the youth advisor in the office of the governor, working with people who are way above the age, and the experience I've gathered working as a county chairman of the ODM party, then I believe gives me the experience that I require to navigate that. On the issue of priorities, Right Honorable Speaker, if I'm given this opportunity to be the CEC, the priority number one will be the completion of the Congo International Stadium. This is a project, this is a flagship project that has put us on the map as a county where the issue is worked. And it's not just for Congo. I intend, if I get this opportunity, to complete Congo Stadium and go beyond. I know the ministry has gone ahead to put up some training facilities, fields around 14 of them, around the county. I want to ensure that we have as many training grounds as possible made by the ministry, and this is so that we are able to increase sporting activities. In increasing sporting activities, Right Honorable Speaker, we will be able to help in sport tourism that will help to improve the economy of our county. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, my second priority will be to review the county service and women empowerment program. This is another flagship project that, as I gather, is not doing very well. I'm required to review it and restart it so that we are able to realize what was in mind when this project was being brought up. Third, Honorable Speaker, I would want to review the shelter improvement program with a view of improving it. I know that the program has run for the last 5 years or so, for more than 5 years. I would wish to know the impact it has on the community and how we can be able to improve it so that the people of Kakamega are able to benefit more from that program. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, I wish to implement the Disability Act that has been passed by this Honorable House so that we are able to cater for our brothers and sisters who are living with disability. And Honorable Speaker, I would want to operationalize the sports fund. you realize that the county has not been able to run the governance cup for some time. And if you look at it from my own assessment, it is because the peak time when you can do sports is the time when there are no resources in government. So the planning of that governance cup is a problem because at the time when you should do it, there's no money in government. So I wish to operationalize the sports fund, which is already in existence, so that we are able to make use of the sports fund to ensure that budgeting cycles do not affect the running of sporting activities. Honorable Speaker, I would want also to emphasize on the governance cup as a tournament and go beyond football, including our brothers and sisters who play the Olympics. So when I'm given that opportunity, when I operationalize the sports fund, this is one of the issues we want to understand as much as possible. Honorable Speaker, I would want to organize the county gala. You realize that the county is taking part in music festivals, but as it does that, they have big teams. I think it's important. The essence of evolution is to let those at the grassroots feel the benefits of the government. So I would wish that we run our own music festival as a county, where teams compete from the wards to the sub-counties to the county, and those who win at the county are then taken to the nationals for the music festival. As opposed to competing teams, it is prone to corruption and it does not bring out the best in our people. Honorable Speaker, I would want, in line with the Governor's Manifesto, to construct social homes. This will introduce a focus on the arts. You realize that as a county, we have done little in terms of sporting activities, but the arts are also an area where we need to engage the youth a lot to help us in giving them gainful employment, in helping to reduce issues of crime and violence. So I want us to construct a social hall which will be used by the young people to do practice and improve their arts. Honorable Speaker, the Governor's Manifesto has spoken big on the issues of good governance. As a ministry, if I'm given this opportunity, I would want an annual engagement of the young people with the leadership of the government, the governor, the CCs, and the leadership, and even going beyond that, to be able to engage them in what I would call where you bring the young leaders together to speak on how evolution has impacted them, to take stock of evolution, and be able to get feedback on what should be done to make evolution work. Honorable Speaker, I want to address the issue of the border as a key employment opportunity in the youth as we speak, especially the youth at the lowest of the pyramid, by ensuring that they are organized, and as a ministry we are able to link them to people who can support them in organizations. That will help us to also train them, issue them licenses, and in doing so also we will also reduce. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, last but not least, Honorable Speaker, if the opportunity in the ministry, I'll be able to organize a careers and jobs expo. The biggest problem we have as young people, speaking from a youth perspective, is jobs, getting jobs. There are very many young people who there is a big gap between what they expect in the interview, but they have the jobs. When we create these expos, it will help to encourage those who are still studying. It will help them to engage with the employers and be able to get a taste of what they should expect from the employers. Lastly, right, Honorable Speaker, I want to do a policy draft for consideration for grants, and this is in line with the Governor's Manifesto. You realize that this ministry is dealing with what I call the disadvantaged groups, the youth, the women, and the persons living with disabilities. And therefore, we will need to do affirmative action programs to ensure that we are able to jumpstart them economically so that they are able to do the labor of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Moffat, on that precise of what intend to do once appointed. That's one thing. We've noted that the youth are not into agriculture completely. We are not talking about it. They see agriculture as backward. Yet, new husband before he has told us how he's going to make it democratic for the youth. Then they are self-employed, that they are self-employed and not just look for white-collar jobs which are not available. What do you do, especially in respect of agriculture, so that to see it when you are factoring in Shamba, somebody with the Shamba is somebody related. Yet that's not the case, because agriculture is where we get our daily bread, and there's a lot of wealth in agriculture. Let's encourage the youth to take up agriculture.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and Chair. All I want to agree with you that a research done has shown that the average farmer in Kenya is around 65 years old. And that tells you that the biggest population in the country, which is the youth, who contribute to over 60% of the population, are not taking part in agriculture. Yet it is a fertile ground for environment, for employment, like you say. Right Honorable Speaker, when I'm given the opportunity to be the CC, I have a mainstreaming plan, and the mainstreaming means a plan to engage other ministries that have a core mandate, and agriculture is one of them. In agriculture, the reason why the youth are not taking part in agriculture is because we have stuck to the traditional agriculture. We are not mechanizing agriculture, we are not using technology in agriculture. And so when I'm given this opportunity and I'm in cabinet and I'm able to contribute to policy decisions in cabinet, I would ensure that we work towards mechanizing agriculture and introducing technology in agriculture to make it attractive to the young people. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, you realize that the youth do not have the capital. The capital for agriculture is land. So you realize that most of the young people do not have the land. And therefore you need to find a way of creating awareness so that the people who own the land are able to also have a presentation for the young people to help them practice, especially those who are in learning institutions like polytechnics and universities that are learning about agriculture, to try out what they are doing in school. Because you realize that sometimes they have good knowledge for those who are studying in agriculture, but they don't have where to try it. But most importantly, and lastly, the Right Honorable Speaker, the county is also running a number of programs that I will need in my mainstreaming roadmap to ensure that the young people are tagged along what they're doing. We have the smart farms, which are using technology to produce milk. We have the expert program, which we need to use it to entice the young people, and many others. And we have the cooperatives where we can engage the young people to form cooperatives, and then working with my belief in agriculture, those cooperatives are then funded to help them be sustainable and to this land, like I said, land is
Thank you. We get another set of questions from Honorable David. Even if it keeps quiet and ask.
Chair, I happen to know the nominee when he worked in Obara's second government as a youth advisor. He's my close friend. The distinct of it is that when he stayed at home, we know him. I was visiting, and they moved my uncle, who is the deputy governor of Kutima, to install Kizito. And then when Kizito was short-lived, this young man is very ambitious. We moved Zito and now is the chair. So I'm yet to know if he has decided or not. That one is a subject. Okay. Just connected from that, Mandela, will you know that it's obvious that with identity with ODM will interfere with your work as chief executive member, so you'll be having a spending or something. That is the first one. It will interfere with being aligned to ODM, because it's a multi-party, the county is multi-party sort of. Then maybe a department you are dealing with. There's a lot of recruitments where the youth and women are put in various programs of empowerment. How can we be contented with your leadership that you want to fill when all these positions are come on board with the ODM people? We think they can be divided, and maybe unallied people, ODM, can be punished, so you need to come out clear on that. Then also, you as a youth, where are the youth whom you are to be speaking for, left out in this current cohort of camp youth and women empowerment program? Because there used to be 20, there used to be 50. Now there are 20, where there are only the reserved for women, not the youth. So that youth has been left out. Then my last question is, our people of Kakamega have a wealth of resources, and some of them can be mentioned by myself, like Apple, very good fighting, there's sceneries of Ruiz, there's also forests, and the secret Kansas. In other communities like the Kalenjin, they have vested a lot of interest and it's like an asset to them. They make benefit out of it. With your new grounding, if we give you not for that, what do you intend to ensure that our community benefits monetarily from my aforementioned activities? Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. Speaker. First of all, before I respond to the questions, there are no groups in the ODM party. The ODM party is a structured party with a membership and a leadership well defined in the constitution. And so, okay, I'm not going to speak to that, but there are no groups in the ODM party. The ODM party is a big party with structures, and things happen according to the guidelines and regulations and the constitution of the party. So I would assume that maybe that comment was made on this information.
So there was no coup, as stated by our member here.
You cannot carry out a coup where we have structures and we have laws. If that was to happen, then it is ODM that should be saying that we carry out a coup, not a member of ODM.
Thanks, I have the member decided.
Thank you. As to whether I have resigned, Right Honorable Speaker, I realize that this is a position that requires me to be apolitical, and to that effect, after my nomination, I have resigned as the chairman of the voting party, and that is why I said I have once served as the chairman of the party. The other question was about the party interfering, or the party taking a large stake in what I will be doing, or the leadership of the ministry. Right Honorable Speaker, parties have boundaries. When you are a leader of the party, or when you're a leader of the party, you have boundaries. You cannot go beyond certain boundaries. And therefore, if our parties are loyal, party leaderships are loyal to their members, and if I was in that position and that is what I did, then it's confirming to me that I did the right thing. However, Right Honorable Speaker, governments do not have boundaries. When you serve in a government position, you serve everyone. And that I have demonstrated by already resigning from my position in the party. Because I realized that the calling ahead of me requires me to be apolitical. I wasn't born political. It is an attribute that I've gathered as I go. And so you can't say that being political is permanent. And so I'm putting it before this honorable committee, Right Honorable Speaker, that I know that governments do not have boundaries, and if given this opportunity by this committee, I will at all times be impartial and not have any political affiliation. On the question of recruitments, and it touches also on what we also the party interfering. Right Honorable Speaker, if I'm given this opportunity, I want to concur with the honorable member that we have a lot of recruitments in the ministry. And if I'm given this opportunity, I want to carry out recruitments using stakeholder engagement, where if we are carrying out, say, recruitment for the county service, you bring stakeholder representatives to form a committee to carry out that process. You don't need to do it yourself. And I think to that end, it will also ensure that all interests are taken care of and there is no politicization of government programs. On why the youth were left out in the recruitment, I think that is a question, Right Honorable Speaker, that I should be able to answer if this committee gives me that opportunity. Because I cannot know, I am seeking to serve in that position. So I cannot know what happened and then they were left out. But if I'm given that opportunity, I can, with the help of the speaker, I can be able to report back to this house why the youth were not taken care of. Right Honorable with the member, and I think the ministry as we speak is in the process of developing a few cultural sites like the Shimoni Shrine. And I think if I'm given this opportunity by this committee, I would want us to commercialize our cultural heritage so that we are not just, we have a lot of people, for instance, Right Honorable Speaker, who have learned with you, Right Honorable Speaker, that when I'm given this opportunity, I have an aspiration to commercialize our cultural heritage.
Thank you. Honorable Kenneth.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, sir. First of all, let me confess, the Mandela I know is not the Mandela I'm seeing now. The NOMINEE Mandela is mine. And Mandela, if you will have the opportunity through this confirmation approval to serve in the next season, can I assure you the set of people we have seen here are a very competitive season. First of all, I wanted to ask myself, are you a sportsman? Or is that do you partake in any sporting events? Before I ask you the questions I have.
No, yes. Who is the Mandela that you knew is not here?
I have said already, I think one other evening will bring me up. I've said I have two sets of questions. So I have folded the first one first, so that I can bring new ones to face the NOMINEE. Mandela I knew was a more softer Mandela, but this one is more scathing in answering questions. So I have also to come up to speed. In any case, Mandela, do you participate in any sports events?
Right Honorable Speaker, I do participate in hockey.
Fine. I was asking you that question because I wanted you not to be under no illusion whatsoever as to the sporting regime in this county. Already you have mentioned yourself that the Governor's Cup to a high pedestal ground. Tell me, because you know by cartels in sporting events, how are you going to deal with these cartels? Because they frustrate all these sports right from the beginning up to the end. Two, how are you going to create a nexus, a proper nexus, a connection between the sporting events in our schools and the county sporting events, purposes of surfacing and competitive youths who will then be given an opportunity to participate and compete equally out there. Thank you.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker. First, the honorable member has mentioned that sports have been frustrated. Sports in this country have been frustrated by cartels. I may not be aware of that, but I have said that I know that the challenges, I know of challenges that may have challenged the sporting activities as the budgeting cycles and all that. But once I get this opportunity, I'm given this opportunity by the committee, and I get to the ministry and their cartels, I'm definitely sure to get to know of those cartels. And if they are there, I want to assure this committee that I will work with zero tolerance for corruption. I am glad, right, Honorable Speaker, quite a number of members of this committee have worked with me when I was a leader in the party. I have zero tolerance for corruption, and cartels exist for the sole purpose of doing corruption. So if there are cartels there, that I can assure you, I can give you my word, that they have to be noticed if the committee gives you this opportunity. Secondly, you have asked about the connecting sports in our schools and the sporting activities in the county. One, we have to ensure scouting during sporting activities in schools to ensure that we identify the good talents in schools. But secondly, we must also ensure that the timing of our sports is at such times when the sports in schools are not happening, so that we don't lock out those who are in the schools from participating. And lastly, we need to entice and do proper resource mobilization. Right, Honorable Speaker, you realize that the government budget alone cannot be able to give us the kind of results we want in sporting activities. So we must be able to go beyond and ensure that we fundraise, we do resource, the right one is resource mobilization for sporting activities, so that we get other partners who can help us in sporting activities. We have many partners who may want to advertise during sporting events, and they are able, say, to help us with the running of such sporting events. So I think that is, like I explained in the beginning, that is something that if I'm given this opportunity, I will ensure that it is done and rightly done.
Okay, thank you. Tolerance on corruption. I think that we can confirm here as the chair that we wrote to the Ethics and Corruption Commission for them to confirm the integrity verification of you for the appointment of a CEC. And I'm happy to report that they have given you a clean bill of health by letter that I've just received today. So that is good, and keep it up.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker.
We can have another set of questions from Honorable Deliver Omoni.
Thank you, right, Honorable Speaker. First, I want to welcome Moffat Mandela as a person known to me. I've worked with him when he was still in school, so So he always calls me Mama Yangu. But apart from that, let me do what the law requires for me to do to ensure that we give this good count of the Kakamega CECM who can manage the docket that is ahead of you. Just like the speaker has rightly put it about the results of the communication from Ethics and Anti-Corruption Office. Could you kindly explain or tell us what you understand by the word leadership and integrity in relation to chapter 6 and what are the do's and the don'ts and what is expected out of you as a civil servant or a minister who is going to be given, if in case we are given this opportunity, what is expected out of you? And another question of concern that I would like you maybe to tell us, and it's a write-up on what Honorable Acadians asked about sporting, promoting sporting. You talked about sporting for people with disabilities. And you have told us that you're going to come up with the fields or playgrounds that are going to nurture talents. Have you done your survey to understand the needs of sporting for persons with disabilities? And in that specific area, do you know the types of games that are the alternative groups with the disabilities in this county that can fly the flag of the Kakamega County if that talent is nurtured and the needs are provided? And finally, when we talk about, you talked about ensuring that you use the Disability Act to ensure that you put in place the needs or you work for people with disabilities. Disability cuts across all ministries, even though it is under your docket. Can you tell us how you are going to mainstream disability in other ministries? And that is in relation to the question Dr. Maina asked, that being a youthful CEC, and now you are holding a senior docket that needs you now to engage the senior most CECs who are your colleagues to ensure that you mainstream disability across, so that it's not seen that disability is only under your ministry, but you can lobby and champion and ensure that it cuts across. Thank you.
You may handle this.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. To begin with the first question, Right Honorable Speaker, leadership and integrity, as outlined in our Constitution, is a threshold, what I would call a threshold or a standard for those who are given an opportunity to lead. And Chapter 6 of the Constitution, which rightly talks about leadership and integrity, by putting it clear that the people who lead exercise that authority in trust of the people. So the power belongs to the people, and if you're given that opportunity to lead, then you exercise that authority on behalf of the people. And so it puts the people first and second. And in so doing, if I'm given this opportunity, right on the speaker, I will ensure that we observe the law in all matters we engage in as a ministry. I will ensure that we build public trust in accordance with Chapter 6 of the Constitution, I will ensure that we have financial integrity, ensure that we ensure that we have financial integrity. We don't have misappropriation of funds as a ministry, as outlined in Chapter 6 of the Constitution. I will ensure that as a leader, there is no wrongful acquisition of property. You are, as an employee in the ministry, you are not using the ministry to enrich yourself, because Chapter 6 of the Constitution speaks against that. I will ensure that there is no conflict of interest. If I'm given this opportunity by the Speaker, Chapter 6 of the Constitution puts the public interest first before personal interest. And therefore, I will ensure that in the running of the ministry, I always put the interest of the public first. And therefore, when there is a conflict of interest, you ensure that at the end of the day, the public thrives, because you are there to serve the public. I will ensure that we are in passion as a team in the ministry, in the way we serve, and we are apolitical. We do not serve based on political interest. And on the second question, Right Honorable Speaker, she asked about if I have done a survey on, the Honorable Member asked about if I've done a survey on the sporting activities of persons living with disability. I may not have as much information as is needed, but the ministry has technical people whom I can always rely on when I want to make decisions and to make my policy suggestions to the cabinet. So I may not have much information in us on this, but the Honorable Member will agree with me that matters disability are matters I am passionate with, because I've even worked with her when I was in school on matters disability. So it's an area I'm passionate about, and if I'm given the opportunity, I know that the ministry has the technical people whom I need to work with the team leader and tap in them as a resource to help me to understand that area very well. Lastly, you asked about, the Honorable Member asked about mainstreaming disability issues. Right, Honorable Speaker, this Honorable House has passed a law, the Kakamega County Disability Act, that outlines how mainstreaming of disability issues should be done. So mine as the CEC, if I'm given this opportunity, is simple. I have been given the framework, I have been given the structure, and mine is to implement. Like I've mentioned, I have the goodwill to implement. The law outlines the formation of the committee, the responsibilities of the committee, and therefore I am glad that this Honorable House has made work for me easier if I'm given the opportunity by this committee, by giving me the framework in the law, and therefore I believe that should be an easy thing to do, because it's just the law to be implemented and the law to be followed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, I have another set of questions by your fellow youth in the panel, Honorable Mercy Hussein.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me also confess that I know the nominee. He was trying to convince me to join the committee, but he realized that, he knows. Let's not complain. So, Mandela, your ministry is all about social service, sports, youth, gender, and culture. Let's talk about youth. You and I are young, and you understand we are full of energy, and we are the population that should be taken care of well. And if we are not looked at well, then we become the opposite of everything, violent. So there's a mismatch between what we expect and what life is offering, right? That's why most of us are getting depressed, and that is why we have everywhere you go, you you will hear there's mental health awareness. So what is your take on it? Do you think this ministry has a role to play? What can it do to address the issue of mental stress? Because it is a problem. When the youth are stressed, that is how you hear in Kakamega County, people are being butchered day and night. Then there's the issue of gender-based violence. You are in a county where the society believes that maybe a little battering is a form of love, but in one way that is violence. Do you think you have a role to play to address that? Because women are suffering out here, and I'm speaking this way because these two issues are really personal to me, and I think they need to be addressed. And it is in this ministry that they should be addressed. You are a young person, but your responsibility is big. You are coming to deal with youth. No matter how young they look, this is one area that should be looked at. And for the county to thrive, the youth must be considered in all the aspects. So that is question number one. Question number two, again, this ministry is called Social Service Sports Youth. The governor gave us his agenda, and there's this place that he said he wants to ensure that there's water at the doorstep. Amansa Mukuru. Do you think your ministry has a role to play? Why I'm asking this is because one day in a certain organization, I asked a sweeper, do you think there's any way you are contributing to the loss and or profit of this organization? So it is the same question I'm asking you. Do you think there's how you contribute to ensuring that there's water at those? Muslims.
We may have another question. Mandela.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the first question, if I have a role to play in issues of mental health, wellness, the answer is yes. If you look at the causes of mental health illness, as outlined in many research and surveys done, you will realize that the youth get stressed and depressed because they are not engaged. The youth get stressed and depressed because of drugs, or they even drift into drugs because they are not engaged. So it begins from the question of engaging the young people. I have explained that one, I will use sporting activities to ensure that the young people are fully engaged. Two, I have said we will, if given this opportunity, I will use the arts and use the social halls to enhance the youth participation in arts, which includes, let's say, drama, which includes singing and all that. I've outlined a program that will tap into the young people who are at the lowest of the country, who have the lowest qualifications or no qualifications at all, by coming up with a specific program for them. And by so doing, right on the speaker, I believe that we will be able to engage the young people. And when we commercialize sports, do sports not with a mindset of having fun, but a mindset of making money out of it, a mindset of using the sports to improve the businesses around us, like I said, then we will be able to create a lot of employment opportunities. If we are able to develop the money grounds, for instance, and at some point it's used by a team in the Kenya Premier League as a home ground, then it means that we will have people coming to sit there so that they can have their games there. As they do that, they will create employment in hotels, they will create employment for brothers who are doing border, they will create employment for brothers who are selling food and all that. So I believe that I have a role, and as I've explained. On the issue of gender-based violence, yes, I have a role, and I am aware that the ministry has even put up a gender rescue center to help in matters of gender-based violence. And research has been done, and it shows that issues of gender-based violence goes hand in hand with issues of alcoholism and drug abuse. So if we want to address very well issues of gender-based violence, we must mainstream also issues on matters of alcoholism and drug abuse. And we have a whole directorate in the Ministry of Public Service and Administration that is dealing with that. So if I'm given this opportunity, my will is to ensure that the ministry takes a leading role to ensure that the directorate, we work together with the directorate to create awareness, to be able to rehabilitate, working with other partners like NACADA and all that. And lastly, you have asked about, the honorable member has asked about the water and the doorstep program. And her question was that, do I have a role? The answer is yes. That program is domiciled in the Ministry of Water, Environment and Natural Resources. However, in government, you operate under the principle of collective responsibility. So the success of water as a ministry is the success of social services as a ministry. And therefore, you cannot stop participating or contributing ideas on matters of water because you are the Minister of Social Services. In the best interest of the public and in the spirit of collective responsibility, I have an opportunity at cabinet level, if I'm given this opportunity, to contribute to matters policy, to give my input on policy on matters that relate to water. And so, yes, I have a role to play. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think Honorable Dako has one more question. Yes, Honorable Dako.
Yes, Mandela is a father, and even that all along is about successes. Maybe just end of the weakness.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I do not think I have a permanent weakness. Weaknesses are event-based and process-based. So I cannot say I have a weakness. But I know that there is no human being who is complete. In the process of carrying out events and processes, you may have a weakness here and there. But I have always tried to find a way of turning my weaknesses into strength. And how do I do that? Like I've said, I am a team player. So you always want to create a team around you so that they help you in the weaknesses and you not even be able to realize weaknesses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Moffat Mandela, for that interaction. We wish that before we conclude, tell us your closing remarks in less than 3 minutes.
Chair, I have a concern. There is never an offer that says that the nominees are welcome. I mean, for us or for himself.
I think you are out of it.
Yes, Chairman, let me do something.
Your opinion, you have this.
Let me
Now use to mark whether he has passed or not.
Let me give some clarification, Chair.
You are out.
I say in all the successes.
Order, Mr. Nagwa. Order. It is the committee and it's the individual member who will judge and give us a decision on the suitability or otherwise of a member, and you're supposed to influence your friends and colleagues on their decision. They know, if you know that things are about it, keep it to yourself until give us this one. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Senator, for raising that issue. Now, Mandela, can you give us your closing remarks in 3 minutes?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank the committee for holding me.
Honorable Speaker, just before he gives us his I did not hear him, or rather maybe might have played me havoc on my ears. There is something very pertinent about your chairmanship in ODM. I did not hear you pronounce that you are legally signed. Or rather, if you did, you can reconfirm for purposes of my thinking and record.
As in your closing remarks, you can answer that concern of the member.
Right Honorable Speaker, I did say that after my nomination, I did resign as chair of the ODM party. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank the committee for holding me this time to vet me. And secondly, to assure the committee that if I'm given this opportunity, I will be on test as a young person. The young people are always looked at not to be capable. And so if I'm given this opportunity by this committee, I will endeavor to go out of my way to ensure that I set a record so that any other day, young people are not looked at to be able in any capacity. Honorable Speaker, when if I'm also given this opportunity, I want to assure this committee that I will work based on the existing laws, the constitution, the existing legislation, policies and regulations, and ensure that we are able to steer the ministry forward to the best interest of the people of Kakamega. But most importantly, Right Honorable Speaker, I will ensure that in doing my work, if I'm given the opportunity by this committee, I also ensure that I stick to what is outlined in Article 32 of the Constitution on the values and principles of public service to ensure that I will think about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As an interaction, which has been good. Thank you for coming good time and honoring our court. So we are through with you. We shall advise the sergeants to hand you your original documents, confirm that they are in order. They will help you out of this way. You will get the results